Welcome to Echoes of the Baobab, where timeless African proverbs and stories come alive. Tonight, we'll reflect on the wisdom that says, it takes a village to raise a child. But what happens when the village forgets? If you enjoy stories that carry lessons for life, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let us listen to what the Baobab echoes tonight. Sipho was not just any child. He was longed for. His parents had prayed for years for a child to bless their home. When he finally arrived, his father held him to the sky and named him Sipho, meaning gift. But joy was short-lived. Only weeks after his birth, his father was struck down by a fever. His mother Ndlovu wailed through the night. She clutched her son to her chest, whispering, "Your father dreamed of teaching you to be a man. Now I must teach you alone." Ndlovu worked herself thin in the fields, her body weary, her spirit hollowed by grief. The women who had once promised to help grew busy with their own homes, and the elders, once fountains of wisdom, bickered amongst themselves. Sipho, he grew up hungry for attention and desperate for guidance. As the years passed, Sipho's longing turned into loneliness. At the river, he watched boys learn to fish, while no one handed him a net. When other children gathered around elders for stories, no one called his name to join. He told himself, perhaps I'm invisible. Perhaps the village has no place for me. And so, when strangers came, young men, hardened by the city, dressed in sharp clothes and speaking with force, Sipho listened. The gang arrived at Ndlovu, as they had in other villages. Their leader, a tall man with a scar across his cheek, stood before the elders. "We are your protection," he said. "Pay tribute, and no harm will come to you. Refuse, and you will face worse enemies than us." The elders of Ndlovu murmured, fear and anger wrestling in their eyes. At last, the oldest amongst them shook his head. "We will not give food and cattle to thieves. Leave our village," he said forcefully. The gang leader's smile was thin, much like a blade. He turned to Sipho, who stood just behind him, eager to prove his place amongst them. "They have refused. Well, I guess you will show them what happens when a village denies us. Tonight, you will act. If you are one of us, you must prove it. Do this, and you will no longer be the forgotten boy. You will become a man amongst men." Sipho's stomach twisted. He wanted their respect, their brotherhood. He needed to belong. But this place was home. Well, it should have been. The village stayed on high alert, but nothing happened for days on end. And then, one night, as he held the torch in his hand, Sipho's thoughts battled like a storm. They never raised me. When I cried, no one came. When I asked, no one answered. When I reached for guidance, only silence greeted me. Do they still deserve my loyalty? The gang calls me brother. They see me. They name me useful. Perhaps my village must burn for me to rise from its ashes. He looked at the huts, each one a memory. The corner where he first fell chasing a goat. The tree where he once waited for a father who never came. The door of his mother's hut, worn by her weary hands. The torch trembled in his grip. The gang leader's voice was sharp in his ear. "Do it. Show us your fire, boy." With one breath, Sipho pressed the flame to the thatched roof of a hut. The dry straw erupted in light. Smoke curled into the dark sky, and soon, panic filled the air as people began screaming. Sipho stood frozen. The fire's glow painted his face in red and gold. His village burned, and a mother's cry pierced through the night. And Sipho, he just turned and walked away. By sunrise, ashes lay where laughter once lived. The elders gathered under the great baobab tree, faces grey with grief. An old grandmother spoke, her voice trembling. When a child is not embraced by the village, he will burn it down to feel its warmth. The people lowered their heads, realizing far too late that Sipho, a child who was called a gift, had been forgotten until he had become their curse. From that day on, Ndlovu vowed no child would ever again grow unseen, unheard, unloved, for they had learned the price of neglect. After all, it takes a village to raise a child. You've been listening to Echoes of the Baobab, stories that carry the heartbeat of Africa. If this tale moved you, share it with someone who needs this wisdom, and subscribe so you never miss the next echo from the tree of life. And remember, when all is said and done, what will the baobab echo about you? Tell me, if your village forgot to raise a child, what would the echo sound like?